All right, everybody, welcome back to Pirates Corner, episode 4. I'm Ryan Miller here with Josh Ruga. This is a special episode because we are coming from PiratesFest here in Pittsburgh. We are staying at the Spring Hill Suites right across the street from the stadium. Today we did a lot. We woke up, went to Permani's for a brunch, then came over to the stadium, went into the clubhouse store, and all the activities got started from there. We had a Q&A session. That was our main focus of the day because after everybody would talk, you could go up and get autographs and stuff. We also walked around the tunnel, went up to the club level, a bunch of fun stuff today. We went out to dinner. I know that you had a shout out to say.
Yeah, shout out to Christina for making us a great dinner. It was chicken and shrimp with some broccoli, and it was over a pasta, and there was also some lobster tails mixed in there as well.
The lobster tails are for Josh paying for everybody's bill at Permani's. But today we learned a lot about some of the players. I could start off with that. Having these players sit in front of us and answer questions and share some of their knowledge is a pretty cool thing because, honestly, I would have never known how smart Eric Gonzalez is about how he hits and other players about how they pitch. Like the pitcher Q&A session consisted of Tyon, Brubaker, Brault, Musgrove, and was there one more in there or was that it? I think that was
Kingham.
Kingham.
Yeah, we can't forget Kingham. He's a favorite here on Pirates Corner.
Yeah.
But the key thing that they dug into was we got to hear from Ray Searage on the mindset for Chris Archer, kind of using the slider as a secondary weapon, not getting ahead with the slider and trying to put batters away with the slider, showing them that pitch too many times. He talked about how Archer started throwing his fastball and changeup more early in counts to get ahead of batters, and that's why he had so much success in September after having a very rough month of August in his first month with the Pittsburgh Pirates last year. So we can kind of expect some big things from Chris Archer this coming season, and that's after seeing him kind of stray from the prime of his career, mainly because he wasn't going through the proper pitch sequencing. Ray Searage indicated that we should see Archer at his best this season.
Yeah, hopefully we can get another ace-like season out of Chris Archer. He did that in Tampa Bay multiple years. We also have Tyon, and I've said it and I'll say it again, we have one of the best rotations in baseball. But today, I was really autograph hunting, to be honest, and walking around, taking in the sights and sounds. Josh kind of hung in the Q&A room, talked to some people from Twitter, and asked some questions. And so he had a question for Pirate management, which consisted of Neil Huntington, Clint Hurdle, and Frank Coonley. And your question was what?
First I gave him a shout out for the great job that the baseball operation team has done since Bob Nutting brought those guys in to finish out 2007 and to start 2008. And then I was asking them about the third base situation. Clint Hurdle was the guy who really addressed my question, and the way he addressed it is he kind of gave Moran all the compliments that he deserved for what he did well last season, and we've kind of highlighted Moran's strengths in past episodes, but he also indicated that they're giving Moran like a checklist to work on this offseason, giving and have given him a checklist to work on this offseason. And the interesting thing he said is that Moran came away from his rookie season in Pittsburgh thinking, like, with his mind blown on how many areas of evaluation he was being graded on. And Hurdle indicated that was a positive thing, indicating that it's kind of signals how thorough the Pirates organization is and what they're looking for out of players, key players, and what they're looking for those key players to focus on in order to take their game to the next level. With Moran, it's all about first step quickness and the lateral quickness to increase the range. But Hurdle also highlighted how Jung Ho Gung, he is very strong in all of those areas.
He commented on his range too.
Yeah.
He even brought up how Jung Ho's range is better than Moran's, but Moran can always improve, is what he said.
Yeah, he complimented Moran's throwing arm, saying he's has one of the most accurate throwing arms we've seen over there at third base in a number of years. So, but with Gung, Hurdle also highlighted that we've seen Gung be the best hitter in the lineup on any given day, the best hitter in the National League, the best hitter in baseball for any given stretch of games. And just speaking about how good Gung's bat can be and how they feel like they have the third base position anchored with those two players playing third base this season.
And of course, it is not a Q&A without Pirates management, without people coming in and calling them cheap, saying that the payroll is low and the payroll should get higher. But
we'll get to that.
We're going to get to that after we shed some light on something that we heard today from multiple people. It was kind of flying around the whole Pirate Fest.
Yeah.
Neil Huntington commented on the Machado signing and possible signing. Of course, me and Josh have been riding high on how Machado could possibly be in Pittsburgh and how there was a high possibility of it. And it did make sense. And it made sense for us to be the mystery team. It made sense for them to go out and get him. But Neil Huntington commented today at Pirate Fest that there is a 0% chance of the Pirates getting Manny Machado.
At this point. Yeah, at this point in the offseason. And it was actually Austin Bechtold that actually had this conversation with Neil Huntington. And I was observing Austin have that conversation with Neil. And then I had a short conversation with Austin after he had that conversation with Neil. And the way it came across, it basically, if Neil was honest with Austin Bechtold, the Pirates are out in the Manny Machado sweepstakes. We know that they did have some level of interest at some point this offseason, probably right around the winter meetings. But what we're looking at is we got kind of an inside view of the analysis process, the breakdown of what they did to ultimately come to the conclusion that Manny Machado is no longer a fit realistically from a finances standpoint. And that was more light was shed on that in the question and answer session with Pirates management. And Neil Huntington indicated that the percentage of the payroll that you give to stars on World Series winning teams, like very few World Series winning teams have ever had one player making up to or exceeding 20% of the payroll. So
it's a team effort, basically.
Yeah, basically, you need a lot of good players. It can't just be a star and then just average to below average complementary players. So that was interesting that 20% was kind of the number that he broke out there. And being that the Pirates generally have a lower payroll for a variety of reasons, market size, television contract, size of the ballpark, number of people that they're pulling from in the greater Pittsburgh area, everything like that, there's not as much money. So the payroll's lower. So 20% of the Pirates' payroll ends up a lower number than, say, a bigger market team that has a higher payroll. There's teams like the Red Sox, Yankees, Dodgers, Cubs they all give out $25 million average annual salary contracts regularly, and it looks like that's what it's headed towards to get Machado signed. But at this point, the Pirates are most likely out of the Machado sweepstakes as that number heads over the 20 million mark average annual salary.
Which that would, I'm not going to say kill our payroll because our payroll's low, but it would take a huge hit to it. And you never know what Neil Huntington and the management team's cooking up right now, because there could be a free agent that they're looking towards in 2 years that they say, okay, somebody at this position may be deteriorating and they want to get somebody else there. They could be saving money for a big signing in the future. We don't really know, but the field that they have right now, consisting of pretty good players, definitely on the pitching diamond and in the bullpen.
Yeah.
I mean, the field, the outfield is pretty good, I'd say, with Polanco possibly making it back to opening day. You think he may be able to.
Yeah.
And Marte in center, Dickerson in left. The infield, though, of course there's going to be that question at shortstop.
And really at this point, shortstop is the only hole on the infield.
I mean, second base is going to be Adam Frazier, first base is going to be Bell, and third base is going to be Gung or Moran.
Gung and Moran.
Yeah, Gung and Moran. Moran's not the starter at this point. He did start last year, and I think that Gung's going to give him a run for his money this year to possibly get some more at-bats. But shortstop right now, and this can bring us into our next point about going after another shortstop in free agency. In my opinion, I don't feel like they are going to, because Neil made another comment today about how Jose Iglesias may be past his prime. And then Frank Coonley said later in the Q&A about how they're tired of having subpar seasons. They want to get to the World Series. He said it's been too damn long since they did. So I don't see them going out and getting Iglesias or Freddie Galvis. Freddie Galvis might have some stuff left in the tank, but at this point, I think it's most likely going to come down to a competition between Gonzalez, Newman, and possibly Pablo Reyes, possibly Kevin Kramer. It's just going to have to... It's probably going to be inner depth at this point. I don't think that we're going to go out and get anybody else. How do you feel on that?
Yeah, so what I have on that is Galvis still has a little bit of unrealized potential, and Iglesias, he's 30 years old, so he's close to being past his prime. It's really hard to say with a player like that. If they start to slow down at all, they're going to lose their range. That's made him such a dynamic defender throughout his career. So neither of these guys are bat-first shortstops. They're both defensive wizards. And ultimately, you would want to just bring in one of them on a one-year deal. Both of them are a little bit better than what we saw from the Pirates last year when they brought in Adeiny Echeverria for a short period of time before ultimately trading him to the Yankees for the start of September. But they're basically just a marginal upgrade on that. Probably the worst case scenario that we're looking at from the Pirates shortstop options internally right now, with Eric Gonzalez being the lead candidate, followed closely by Kevin Newman, then worst case scenario is Eric Gonzalez is ultimately Adeiny Echeverria. In 2016, Eric Gonzalez posted a nice season in the minor leagues, so there's some unrealized offensive potential there, and based on the way he was talking about hitting today, it just sounds like he's one of those players, almost like Starling Marte. They come out of the Dominican Republic, and they kind of had to hit their way off the island. in order to get that big league contract, get to the States, and get into a MLB farm system. So that's what I'm thinking is a possibility with Eric Gonzalez. The walk rate is probably never going to be there. So we'll see what he does to attempt to improve the on base skills. So that's something they have to be they have on his checklist at this point. So as far as Pablo Reyes goes, he did a really nice job of improving in the area of walk rate. And Neil Huntington indicated today that what we saw from Newman and Kramer in September was essentially just a tired out version of both, and to pretty much expect a little bit better from them as their innings counts, number of days they play in a row is managed as they transition into more of a big league role, whether on the bench or in the starting lineup in some capacity. Both have the ability to play shortstop, and we saw Kramer play some third base last year, so we know what they think of his throwing arm. Anything to add on that, Ryan?
Yeah, I like our depth that we have at shortstop. It's not any, Manny Machado as an example, but I feel like they're getting there. And Neil Huntington made a comparison that we've made in the past of Newman to Mercer. He says that Newman looks like a younger version of Jordy Mercer, and that could be true, but let's hope that Kevin Newman doesn't cap out at where Mercer did. We want him to go above and beyond, and if they're comparing him to Mercer, that means that he's going to be a subpar hitter with a bit of defense that won't really be a superstar for us.
Well, the comparison probably ends on the power standpoint.
Yeah.
And from the range standpoint, Newman probably has a little bit more first step quickness and lateral quickness than Mercer ever had. So he has a little bit more in one area and a little bit less than Mercer in another area. Whether or not he can post a 700 OPS is debatable, but to me, he looks like a player that his plateau is like right kind of where we expect it to be, and it's a very average big leaguer. The reason why I brought Reyes and Kramer into the conversation is because of this group, you pretty much you have an idea. Gonzalez has a decent amount of unrealized potential, but you have a pretty good idea what you're going to get from Newman. It's not the tired version that we saw last year. It's going to be a slap hitter who does a decent job defensively, doesn't have a great throwing arm. And so that brings us to Reyes and Kramer. And essentially what you're trying to get out of those two is to add at least one other piece at the shortstop position where you have another good player heading towards his prime years. And that's the key for the Pirates if they want to compete for a World Series, is they have all of their pitchers, position players, everything, especially if they move on from Cervelli. Then Archer would be one of the oldest of the players that play a significant role. And Archer is 29 years old, maybe 30 by the start of this season. So that just gives you an idea where the Pirates are at. And the last time they really put together a really nice season with 90-plus wins was when they had a bunch of good players heading into their prime years, complemented by a couple of key veterans here and there. So
you want to go on to payroll and discussing that? Because that was a huge topic today at PiratesFest. A lot of people were asking management, okay, we have one of the lowest payrolls in baseball. And Neil brought up some really good points about how you don't need a big payroll to win games. It depends on player talent, and I agree with that. With a topic that I've heard a lot by word of mouth and Twitter is that the Reds are going to be better than the Pirates this year. And saying that is solely because they traded for Yasiel Puig, Matt Kemp, and Alex Wood.
And Sonny Gray.
And they also traded for Sonny Gray. Now, their pitching staff, in my opinion, is still garbage. Their bullpen is not good.
I wouldn't say it's garbage,
well,
but with Sonny Gray at the top.
Sonny Gray has to figure it out again.
Yeah.
He did not figure it out in New York, and granted, New York is a pretty hard market to figure it out in. But maybe coming to Cincinnati, he can do something. Hopefully not for our sake. But their bullpen isn't that good, and their lineup is slacking. I mean, getting Yasiel Puig and Matt Kemp. Matt Kemp's past his prime. He's a defensive liability, in my opinion. And he still has a bat, but you don't know how much of that you're going to see this year. And Puig, we all know the type of player that Puig is, but you can't win games with one superstar player. Now, they have Joey Votto. They have Jose Peraza.
Yeah. Peraza's more of, he's just an average big leaguer.
But there has to be some more evidence if you're going to tell me that the Reds are going to be better than the Pirates this year, because that means that the Pirates are going to finish in last place. And
it's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen because they have not lost any big names from last year. I mean, at the least, they're going to go out there and do what they did, same as last year, but hopefully more than that, and we're both predicting more than that. But you can't tell me at this point that the Pirates are going to finish in last place because they haven't subtracted any big pieces. And I don't know what the Reds are doing over there in Cincinnati. It's like, are they rebuilding or are they trying to win now? Because that trade for them didn't make much sense with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Getting Puig, Kemp, and Wood. I don't know what they're trying to do.
I have something to add here on the Reds, and we'll just wrap that up and move on because it's going to be the last place Reds. We're not going to lie on this podcast. It's going to be the last place Reds. And, Sonny Gray essentially replaces the upside that the Reds had for most of last season with Matt Harvey. And that was pretty much the significant pitcher on their staff. He didn't do great. And we didn't mention Scooter Gennett, but it's kind of a moot point at this point because the Reds went with a couple of safe options and Alex Wood and
Puig.
Tanner Roark.
Oh, okay.
On the pitching staff.
You're talking about the pitching staff, okay.
Yeah, but they don't have enough pitching to compete.
Who's their ace?
Essentially, it's going to be Sonny Gray at some point. So the Reds are going to be a last place team, and the Pirates aren't going to finish close to them in the standings, and pitching is the difference. The Pirates have the best pitching in the NL Central. They may not have the best offense in the NL Central. They probably have the third or fourth best offense in the NL Central. I haven't sat down and thought about that too much. I wouldn't say it's definitively the worst offense.
Well, that's our weakness. I mean, our pitching rotation is great. Our bullpen's great. Our offense is okay, and they can improve with some people stepping up on the field.
Yeah. They've shown that they can win in the past, 2013 and 2015. The Pirates didn't hit a ton. They scored similar run totals to what they scored last year, and they still won 94 games and 98 games. And their goal for this season, despite the narratives of what I believe are false narratives around Pittsburgh here, that this could be a last place team. No, their goal is a division title, and it's going to take a heroic effort from the Cubs rotation to hold the Pirates off. We were kind of discussing the Cardinals rotation. That's not a great rotation, but it's another great offense in the division.
And their bullpen is also slacking.
Yes. So what we're looking at is, as far as that goes, the Pirates have a bunch of players moving into their prime, and they have some internal shortstop options. Okay, so that's pretty much the only area where they need to look to improve. And if everyone that's younger takes another step forward, that includes Polanco, that includes Bell, that includes Frazier, that includes Moran,
Diaz in a way.
Diaz playing a whole season at the level he
Yeah.
played last year. You've got to, and Gung's in his prime as well. You've got a really nice group collectively with the bats, and you've got Rick Eckstein,
who's
today,
another great mind that we listened to today.
Yeah, he demonstrated some extremely interesting points about the use of electrodes to get the proper a read on what the proper body rotation efficiency is.
An exercise science major in college.
Yeah. And that kind of takes us into our next point. And the Pirates have been analyzing not only just their big league players, but they've been analyzing some of their minor league players. And with this electrode use and the exercise science that Rick Eckstein, background that Rick Eckstein's bringing to the table. And two prospects in particular that came up today that in the past haven't been believed to have much power, but Neil Huntington and other members of the Pittsburgh Pirates indicated that these guys are going to hit for power. That's Brian Hayes and Cole Tucker. With Tucker, it's just a matter of looking at body rotation efficiency at this point and what he's looking at with potential gains in strength. So they have him on a strength and conditioning regimen, and at 6'4", 180 some pounds, or 6'3", 180 some pounds.
I think it's 6'3".
Yeah, he has the body to grow into some power. He's another guy indicated he's just looking gap to gap, but if a pitch to hit out of the ballpark comes his way, he's ready to attack that pitch and drive it out of the park. Hasn't done it yet to this point in his minor league career. Most of those are going for doubles and triples for him, but that's where, with more strength, ball's going to start carrying over the fence. Ryan, anything to add on either Brian Hayes or Cole Tucker developing power?
Well, I like our future in the infield, definitely. I mean, even beyond those two, but if we have a shortstop with power, that could be a five-tool player. A great fielder, a great hitter, power hitter, and base runner.
20 home run power.
Yeah, which would be very beneficial on this team. Third basemen are kind of known to have power at some points. So I like how both these guys are starting to develop it. It's definitely a good thing to develop. And it will help us in the future. If they keep up with it, I can't wait to see what they can do. So do you want to move on to the bullpen?
Yeah.
Or you got anything else?
So as far as the Pirates bullpen goes, we've kind of highlighted the primary five pitchers that we're looking to turn to this season. And today at PiratesFest, there was some indication that Jordan Lyles could be more in the mix for the fifth starter's role than we had initially thought. That kind of throws a wrench into the bullpen, but at least you have your top four locked down. And from what Neil Huntington indicated in his conversation with Austin Bechtold is the Pirates continue to look at Jake Diekman as an option. I know we like Justin Wilson. We liked some people like Oliver Perez.
Yeah. Wilson just signed with the Mets, and Oliver Perez goes back to Cleveland.
Yeah. Now, Jake Diekman's been the guy that's been most closely connected to the Pirates in any off-season free agent rumors. So it would be nice to see them bring him in and possibly go with a bullpen that has three left-handed starters. I mean, three left-handed relief pitchers. That would be, of course, Felipe at the top, and then you would have Diekman as a kind of middle innings relief help, seventh inning guy, and then as a long relief / left-handed specialist option, that you're probably going to see Tyler Lyons, possibly Stephen Brault in that role. So, anyone out there that, like, I know some people were disappointed Adam Ottavino ended up in New York. Anyone out there that you think would be a potentially nice addition from the players that are available?
Well, I think that Diekman could possibly fit into our bullpen pretty nice. It's just that I'm not quite sure on how everything's going to work out with the bullpen. I know that we need a lefty, and you told me that you could possibly see Tyler Lyons in that role, and I like that. If he shows what he has in spring training and Tyler Lyons is in our bullpen, I feel like that could work out well for the team. We just have to see how everything works out at this point. We're looking on trade rumors right now. What were you looking for? Oh, free agent list. So, yeah, let's pull this up real quick. So there's still some names out here. Kimbrel, probably not. Our old friend Daniel Hudson. Let's see. So, left-handers.
Well, left-handers. Some of these guys are taken off the market. Zach Duke would be in the mix still.
Bring back Zach Duke. Jerry Blevins is a name, possibly. He did pretty well last year. It's if the Pirates want to get him. It seems like a very Pittsburgh player to get. Kind of not a big name. Did he actually sign with the Mets? Oh, that might be old.
Yeah,
that's old. So Jerry Blevins, possibly. Jake Diekman. Or I've heard Xavier Cedeno's name being thrown around. I'm not 100% sure how that would work out for us.
I think Xavier Cedeno has signed. This is just start of the offseason, so it's not actually showing.
Okay. Did he sign? No, he's still a free agent.
Okay.
So, it's possible that we go out and get a left-hander, but if I'm looking at the most realistic scenario, I think that we're going to keep it with Brault and Lyons, most likely. But, I mean, any of these names really intrigue you?
Drew Storen looks like an interesting name. I know some of these players.
No, he's still a free agent.
Yeah. Drew Storen would be an interesting name just to come in and compete for the back of the bullpen role. But I had the young pitcher that the Pirates got from the Twins. What was his name again?
Aaron Slegers?
Yeah, Aaron Slegers.
Slagers, yeah.
Would be a good fit on the back end of the Pirates bullpen, because most of those first five that we have highlighted to this point, throwing Diekman into that five, are either short relief pitchers, or if they're going to go multiple innings, it's going to be capped out at 2 to 3 innings, where someone like Slegers or Lyons could give you possibly 4 innings when needed. They'd come in handy for extra inning affairs. That would only be an issue if the Pirates' offense is not really playing well this season. But Yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that.
All right, does that cover the bullpen?
Well, just one more thing on the bullpen. To like the starters are going to go deeper into games than we saw at times last season. Because believe it or not, last season was kind of the tale of two halves. They were well under 500 when they were still hitting quite well.
The pitching wasn't there.
Yeah, and the pitching wasn't there through May and June. And then Musgrove shows up and helps make that breakthrough. Tyone shows up. And then the pitching fell off a little bit after the Archer trade, but then restabilized once he started pitching well in September. And you had long stretches of good pitching to finish out last season, but it wasn't so good that you're like, they pitched that well all season and still ended up with only 82 wins. Now, if the Pirates pitch to their potential this season, 88, 89, 90, even 90 plus wins is not out of the question for this team. So all this talk about the Pirates falling behind the Reds when people are only adding up name value and not adding up win value, yeah, it's just a bunch of nonsense. So that's what we have on the Pirates bullpen. That's what we have on the Pirates shortstop situation. They're probably out on Manny Machado.
Yeah.
So we can kind of get some closure. We have some closure now on that situation, and we kind of know what the roster is going to look like going into next season. We're here at Pirates Corner. We're not in panic mode.
No.
We believe in this Pirates roster. We're not at the point where we see any other free agent sign in the National League, and we believe that just put us that much. No, that's not us. We're keeping a level-headed approach. Games are not won on paper. Games are not won in the off-season. Off-season championships do not count as real championships.
Yep.
Games are won on the field, and what we saw from the Pirates today is they demonstrated that they have team chemistry. They care about each other. They celebrate each other's successes. And for a team with that many talented players all heading into their prime at the same time, that's going to go a long way towards winning baseball in Pittsburgh in 2019. Anything to add on that, Ryan?
Well, I have some high hopes for the year, and I hope everybody else does and comes to the conclusion that this team can be good. So some closing thoughts for me is probably the pitchers have to pitch and the hitters have to hit. It just comes down to that. We have a good pitching staff and the hitters need to keep up. So that does it for episode 4 of the podcast series. We're coming from PiratesFest, if you didn't know that already. Also, we will be in spring training from February 20th to the 27th, so just let us know on Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, actually, we made a Pirates Corner Twitter account separate from our personal, so it's at Pirates_Corner. If you just look up Pirates Corner, I'm sure it'll come up if you follow a lot of Pittsburgh guys. But yeah, follow me at Ryan from PC. Follow Josh at Joshua Ruga, all one word. And then
give us a follow.
Yeah, give us a follow on Pirates_Corner. Thank you guys all for watching, and have a good one.